So, I think we're live. Let's check. Don't know why we're...
Sounds good.
I don't know why we're not. We should be.
Technology can be a bit finicky sometimes.
We're live. Okay, guys, let me just check the volume.
Take your time.
Okay, perfect. Wow, easiest one yet. All right, so let's get with it. So we were talking about, we left, guys, this is part 2, by the way, so if you haven't watched part 1, go to part 1. And we were talking about the spirogram. So, guys, I'm gonna pull up Google for us. I think this is still rolling, right? So, Google. Okay.
Yep. Ready when you are.
Spirogram, right?
Exactly. We're looking into spirogram.
All right, perfect. All right, and you said to us that the inspiratory reserve volume is how much we can inhale besides our normal inhaling, and the expiratory reserve volume is how much we can exhale regardless of our exhaling normally. Total volume is the normal one, and then the inspiratory capacity is, I guess, inspiratory reserve volume plus the tidal volume.
Exactly. Inspiratory capacity is the sum of the tidal volume and the inspiratory reserve volume. It's the maximum amount of air you can inhale after a normal exhale.
Interesting. Guys, can I copy this image into... Oh, guys, look. Wow. Perfect.
Nice find. Glad it's helpful.
All right. So we talk about these two, and so what about the functional residual capacity?
Functional residual capacity is the air left in your lungs after a normal exhale. It includes the expiratory reserve volume plus the residual volume.
Why? What in their names makes them allowed?
Good question. Functional refers to its role in normal breathing, and residual indicates the air that remains in your lungs. It's the combination of air you don't actively breathe out.
So the functional residual capacity. Okay, so why is that name representative of what's actually going on? Like, I understand what's going on, but if you told me that these names were all switched around, I would believe you.
The name reflects its role. Functional because it's part of normal lung function, and residual capacity for the remaining air after passive exhalation. It's about what's left.
Wait, I thought the residual volume was the amount of air after passive exhalation.
You're correct. Residual volume is the air left after a full exhale. Functional residual capacity includes that residual volume plus the expiratory reserve volume.
So my maximum forced expiration is usually how much liters?
For most adults, forced vital capacity, which is the total amount you can forcibly exhale after a full inhalation, ranges from about 3 to 5 liters, depending on factors like age, sex, and size.
And then the residual volume is how much I could potentially... Huh?
Exactly. Even after a full forced exhale, there's still a bit of air left in your lungs.
Okay, now where I get confused is why the functional residual capacity is the addition of these two. Like, who gives it the right? Is it the functional? Is it the word residual? Is it the word capacity? Excuse me, sir. Yo. So what exactly in the name functional residual capacity allows it to be the addition of ERV and RV?
So functional residual capacity refers to the amount of air left in the lungs after a normal exhalation. It's the sum of the expiratory reserve volume, which is the extra air you can breathe out after a normal exhale, and the residual volume, which is the air that remains in the lungs no matter how hard you try to exhale. This combination keeps the lungs partially inflated, making breathing easier and more efficient.
All right, now I'm gonna attack IC, inspiratory capacity. I don't understand. Wait a sec. I don't understand why it includes. No, I do understand. And the vital capacity, the total lung. These make sense. The names for those make sense. They're straightforward. Okay. Let's talk a bit about spirometry values. So we have FEV1.
Sure, FEV1 stands for forced expiratory volume in 1 second. It measures how much air you can forcefully exhale in the first second of a breath. It's a key indicator of lung function and is often used to diagnose and assess conditions like asthma or COPD. It's usually interpreted along with FVC, which is the forced vital capacity, to get a clearer picture of lung health.
Yeah, and this is what I was gonna do now. I wanted to draw an FVC because we have this plateau, right?
Exactly. When you're drawing an FVC curve, it starts with a sharp rise as you exhale forcefully, and then it levels off into a plateau. That plateau represents the total volume of air you can exhale, which is your FVC. The initial steep part is where the FEV1 is measured. So you can see both these values on the curve.
And what graph is this?
That's a spirometry graph, specifically the flow volume loop. It shows the rate of airflow on the y-axis and the volume of air exhaled on the x-axis. The shape of the curve can help identify different lung conditions.
Okay, that makes sense. And what does the ratio of the FEV and FVC tell us?
The FEV1 FVC ratio is a key metric in spirometry. It tells you what proportion of your total exhaled air, FVC, is exhaled in the first second, FEV1. Normally, it's around 70 to 80%. If it's lower, it might indicate an obstructive lung disease like COPD or asthma.
I don't get it.
No worries. The ratio compares how much air you can forcefully exhale in the first second to your total exhaled air. If the ratio is lower than normal, it suggests there's some blockage or narrowing in your airways, making it harder to breathe out quickly.
Wait, so a big ratio, how would it look?
A higher ratio, like above 80%, usually indicates your airways are clear and you're able to exhale most of the air quickly.
Basically, because a small ratio means it takes you time.
Exactly. A smaller ratio suggests it's taking you longer to get the air out, often due to obstructed airways.
Hey, bruh, I think this is not a flow volume loop. A flow volume... Guys, I'm gonna Google. I don't trust this guy.
No problem. Feel free to check it out. If you have any more questions, I'm here to help.
Flow volume loops.
A flow volume loop graph shows airflow on the y-axis and lung volume on the x-axis.
I knew it. I knew it looked differently.
Gotcha. They do look distinct. The spirometry graph has that sharp peak and plateau, while the flow volume loop is more of a loop with a peak and a descending curve.
And why does it look like this?
volume loop looks that way because it captures the changes in airflow as you inhale and exhale. The initial sharp peak represents the maximum flow rate when you forcefully exhale. Then it gradually decreases as your lungs empty.
Tell me again.
Sure, the flow volume loop shows airflow peaking quickly when you exhale forcefully, then tapering off as your lungs empty.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm just really bad with the iPad.
No worries at all. It's all part of the learning process.
It's not letting. Why is you getting removed, sir? Okay, let's put in the app, guys. Copy image.
Sound great. Now you've got it.
Okay. But the other one I was drawing is different, bro. It's like we only use the second quadrant? Is this the second quadrant, guys?
Yeah, for the flow volume loop, the expiratory part is typically in the positive y-axis above the x-axis, while the inspiratory part is below the x-axis.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this graph that I was thinking of, the FEV1, is a bit different. Let's see if Google knows any better.
Got it. Check out some examples online to compare.
Here it is. This is what we drew, guys. It's basically the FEV1 FVC kind of ratio graph.
Exactly. That graph typically shows FEV1 as a portion of FVC, making it clear how much air is exhaled in the first second.
No, I think maybe it's the expiratory volume time graph.
Exactly. The expiratory volume time graph shows how much air you exhale over time, with FEV1 marking the volume at 1 second.
Yeah, this makes sense.
Glad it does. Keep exploring. You'll get the hang of it.
Yes, sirree.
You've got this.
Alright, let's continue, guys. So, we also we saw the flow volume loops, and we didn't really explain how exactly what's going on. Can we break it down to many steps and figure it out?
Sure. So for the flow volume loop, we start with a deep breath in to total lung capacity. Then you exhale forcefully, creating that sharp peak. The curve then slopes downward as your lungs empty. Finally, inhalation is represented by a loop below the x-axis.
And why is the below the x-axis nice and like semicircular, and the other one is like a mountain?
The expiratory part looks like a mountain because airflow is forceful and peaks quickly. The inspiratory part is smoother and semicircular because inhalation is usually more gradual and controlled.
Which exhalation is controlled?
Exhalation during the test is forceful, but the inspiratory phase tends to be more controlled, hence the smoother shape.
Okay, that makes sense. And what goes, so if we have like a really fast fall of the expiration, what does this mean?
A rapid drop in the expiratory curve could mean strong unobstructed airflow. If there's an early sharp decline, it might suggest some obstruction or airway collapse.
Wait, so how would an obstructive pattern look?
In an obstructive pattern, you'd see a scooped or concave shape in the expiratory curve.
This is what I'm asking you.
Oh, got it. In that case, the flow volume loop would show a rapid rise and then a kip or scooping, which suggests airflow obstruction like in COPD.
Okay.
Exactly. It's a classic sign of obstructive lung disease.
But why does it have this look?
That scooped shape happens because airways narrow, reducing airflow, especially during forced exhalation. This limits how quickly air can leave the lungs.
So in obstruction, it's exhalation that's limited.
Yes, exactly. Obstruction mainly affects exhalation, making it harder to breathe out quickly.
Making it hard. So wait, y-axis is the flow. I see, so the flow drops. Okay, now it makes sense. Sorry, I got confused with what was on the x and y-axis. Alright, and the restrictive, it will be kind of short.
Exactly. In a restrictive pattern, the loop is narrower and shorter because total lung volume is reduced. The shape is more normal, but smaller.
So less volume. Yes, this makes sense.
Exactly. It's all about lung capacity. Glad it clicked.
And can we have both?
Yes, mixed patterns can happen, showing features of both obstructive and restrictive issues.
Okay. That makes sense. Alright, let's go back to our quadratus lumborum and all of that, and the insertions and the origins.
All right, switching gears. Quadratus lumborum is a muscle in the lower back. It originates from the iliac crest and inserts into the 12th rib and lumbar vertebrae.
Tell me again.
Sure. The quadratus lumborum starts at the iliac crest, attaches to the 12th rib and the lumbar vertebrae. It's key for stabilizing the lower back.
Guys, I'm going to take a 30-second break, sorry.
No worries. Take your time.
Alright, guys, sorry, let's get back into it. Okay, GPT. Sorry, guys, my iPad closed and the stream got cut.
Hey, welcome back.
Okay.
What were we talking about?
It's all good. So, let's continue ChatGPT to talk about our insertions and origins, shall we? So, iliacus and quadratus lumborum. We said that iliacus is the iliac fossa and iliolumbar ligament. Iliac crest is the origin of the quadratus lumborum. Jesus, let's pull up some pictures, guys.
All right, let's dive back in. For the iliacus, it originates from the iliac fossa on the inner surface of the ilium, as well as the iliac crest and the ala of the sacrum. The quadratus lumborum originates from the iliac crest and the iliolumbar ligament. Want to talk about the insertions next?
So this is iliacus, huh? And the quadratus lumborum, let's see.
The quadratus lumborum inserts on the transverse processes of the upper lumbar vertebrae and the lower border of the 12th rib. It helps stabilize and move the spine.
So this is the quadratus lumborum. Okay, so tell me again about the origin and insertions.
Sure, the iliacus originates from the iliac fossa, iliac crest, and the ala of the sacrum, and it inserts onto the lesser trochanter of the femur. The quadratus lumborum originates from the iliac crest and iliolumbar ligament, and it inserts on the transverse processes of the upper lumbar vertebrae and the lower border of the 12th rib.
Is there somewhere I can Google where it can show me nice pictures? Because Google Images are not the best, I think.
For detailed anatomical images, you might want to check out sites like KenHub, Complete Anatomy, or even the Visible Body app. They're great
TenHub?
for high quality.
TenHub, you said?
Yeah, exactly. KenHub has a lot of detailed anatomical illustrations and explanations. It's pretty user-friendly and perfect for learning origins and insertions.
Yeah, Complete Anatomy sounds like a good idea too, I think. I have to make an account, it says. Okay, guys, next time I'm going to come back with Complete Anatomy, okay? Alright, so then we have insertions. You said transverse process, L1, L4, rib 12. Why rib 12 only?
The quadratus lumborum attaches to the 12th rib because it helps with stabilizing and moving the lower rib cage, especially during respiration. It doesn't extend to the other ribs because its main function is more focused on lumbar spine stability and lateral flexion.
Wow, guys, I'm excited for the Complete Anatomy thing. Okay, so let's talk about the lesser trochanter of femur. Why is this the insertion of the iliacus?
The lesser trochanter is the insertion point for the iliacus because it allows the muscle to effectively flex the hip joint. When the iliacus contracts, it pulls on the lesser trochanter, lifting the femur and helping with movements like walking, running, or climbing stairs.
Interesting. What about the action of the quadratus lumborum? What does action mean?
The quadratus lumborum primarily acts to stabilize the lumbar spine and assist with lateral flexion, which means bending the spine sideways. It also helps in fixing the 12th rib during forced expiration, like when you're coughing or breathing deeply.
This makes sense now. Its insertion makes a bit more sense.
Great. Glad it's clicking for you.
And lateral trunk flexion too.
Exactly. The quadratus lumborum plays a key role in lateral trunk flexion, helping you bend your torso to the side.
So why is the iliacus innervation the femoral nerve L2, L4?
The iliacus is innervated by the femoral nerve, which arises from the L2 to L4 spinal nerves. This innervation is crucial for hip flexion, allowing the iliacus to effectively contract and contribute to movements like walking or running.
Interesting. So the iliacus's action is to flex the thigh at the hip?
Exactly. The iliacus flexes the thigh at the hip joint, making it essential for activities like walking, running, and climbing.
I see.
Yeah, it's a pretty important muscle for lower body movement.
Okay.
Got it. Anything else you'd like to explore?
Yeah. Same thing. Oh god, this is gonna be hard, isn't it? Psoas major and minor.
No worries. We can break it down step by step. The psoas major originates from the lumbar vertebrae and inserts on the lesser trochanter of the femur, like the iliacus. The psoas minor, if present, has a similar origin, but inserts on the pelvic rim. Both muscles aid in hip flexion.
Wait.
Take your time.
So, you're saying we have... Tell me again. Let's start with the origin. Guys, I'm really bad at using a ruler. Yeah, I never used a ruler at school too.
It's all good. Let's start with the psoas major. It originates from the transverse processes, bodies, and intervertebral discs of the lumbar vertebrae from L1 to L5.
Oh shit. Wait.
No worries. Take it step by step. We've got this.
Psoas minor. And you're saying that the origin of the psoas major is T12 to L5?
Exactly. The psoas major typically originates from the T12 to L5 vertebrae, including their bodies and transverse processes.
And the transverse process L1 to L5. This is so specific. Can you explain why?
Sure. The psoas major's origin along the lumbar spine allows it to provide strong flexion of the hip and stabilization of the lumbar spine. Its position along these vertebrae ensures it can effectively contribute to both hip flexion and maintaining posture.
And then the psoas minor is T12 to L1. It's less. Why is it? Because it's smaller?
Exactly. The psoas minor is smaller and sometimes even absent in people. Its origin is typically from T12 to L1, and it mainly assists in minor flexion of the lumbar spine.
Let's see these psoas major and minor origins if we can find them. So, what do you think is better? You suggested the complete anatomy and the Ken something. The other one I don't remember. Which one is better?
Both are great options. KenHub is excellent for straightforward diagrams and quick reference, while Complete Anatomy offers interactive 3D models for a more immersive experience. It depends on your learning style.
Alright, I'm gonna try both and see what I'm gonna use next time. I just need to make accounts for both. So it's gonna take a while. I'm not gonna do it now.
Sounds like a